Thank you for the introduction and thank you for having us as part of this incredible event. I am Omri Boral, co-founder and CEO of Tech for Good, broadcasting to you today from Israel. As many of you probably know, Israel is an internationally leading hub for technology innovation and startups. But what you might not know is that in recent years, Israel has become a thriving ecosystem of entrepreneurs, investors, and innovators who are developing new ways to use technology to do good and address the world's most pressing social and environmental issues. So today, we have the privilege of speaking with three inspiring entrepreneurs who are doing just that through their companies. But at the same time, they are also creating new mindsets for their organizations and the way they are being managed. So for those of you who are aspiring to develop their career in technology and innovation and lead businesses that are improving the world, I'm certain you will find their insights super valuable. I'm sure you are quite curious to hear from our entrepreneurs, so I will pass on the mic to them. We'll start with ladies first, with Anat Shperling, co-founder and CEO of Toya. The floor is yours.
Hi, and thank you. Welcome, everyone. So I'm Anat Shperling, co-founder and CEO of Toya. Toya is a female-led studio with a majority of female developers and artists from Israel and Europe. We partner with the biggest platforms in the gaming industry, like Roblox, to develop and promote games that reflect equal opportunities, diverse characters, and more dynamic storylines across the gender spectrum. And we're targeting a growing base of more than 1.2 billion female players worldwide who are still lacking female voices and female protagonists in the $150 billion worth gaming industry. We focus on Roblox, where we believe there is the greatest potential to challenge the norm of everyday gaming and offer a culturally innovative view of play. And at the core of our approach is developing nonlinear, open-ended games you can play with your friends, your family, that deliver inspiring role models and enable their players to learn critical skills necessary to succeed in today's world. So this is us in a nutshell.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Next, we will hear from Roy Tal, who is the founder and CEO of Together. Please tell us about your work with the aging population.
My pleasure. So my name is Roy. Here you see Ariel. She's with me. She's my +1 today. I'm the lucky CEO and founder of Together. We created Solo, which is the world's first video-based AI wellness therapist. It analyzes, improves, and monitors emotion using face recognition. All of this, again, for the aging population to reduce stress, pain, and loneliness in just 15 minutes a day usage. We work in Israel, North America, and Japan to improve the lives of the aging population.
Incredible. Thank you. And last but not least, Idan Meir, co-founder and CEO of Right Here.
Yes, hi, it's a pleasure to be here in the panel, and thank you, Omri, for inviting us. Right Here is developing the world orientation assistant for the blind and visually impaired. We basically turn public spaces into more accessible environments for people with orientation challenges, as I said, including the blind and visually impaired. The way we do that is with a free app for them and another system that we developed behind it, which we install at the venue. Ultimately, we are allowing our users to hear audible descriptions about the environment and being more independent and confident wherever they go. And as I said, I'm very happy to be here in this panel.
Great. Okay, so we will begin with basically asking you, I think, what every person who is considering to become an entrepreneur is asking themselves. Nobody prepares you for being an entrepreneur. It's not something that you can learn in the university or anything. So when you look back at the experience and kind of insights that you've that you created for yourselves in your life, what do you think prepared you or brought you the skills that you actually need for this new job that you invented? Anat, please.
I don't think you need anyone to tell you that you can be or not be an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur. I think it starts with a different standpoint where you feel there's a problem and there's something you want to solve. And when you get this feeling and you start thinking about it, for me, the more I thought about it, the more I became, it felt like some sense of urgency, something that I really need to deal with. And then I started thinking of, okay, so how am I going to do it? What should be the next steps? Who should I talk to? Who can help me, and so forth. So for me, it's like and it's not the first time. I've been an entrepreneur for more than 20 years now. So for me, it's like, okay, you have this hunch, there's something you need to do, just start doing it, start thinking about it, start talking about it. The rest will evolve.
If I may continue, I think that coming from the world of the music business, one of the qualities of an entrepreneur is very similar to the quality of a musician, which is flexibility. I think entrepreneurship in general in the world of startups is a roller coaster of emotions. Some day you feel like you're conquering the world, and the other day you don't want to go out of bed. You want just to quit your job and to return to your normal day job. So definitely for me, flexibility, the ability to adapt to new situations quickly, especially now in COVID days where everything's changed. I think that I heard a good sentence telling that if the world changes more than your organization changes, then you must be doing something wrong. So adaptivity and flexibility.
Just to add to Anat and Roy, I think also loving the challenge. I think what's put me into entrepreneurship more than anything else. I think first I couldn't see myself in doing anything else. Actually, it's not like I choose that. It's kind of, I guess that chose me in a way. But what's the part that chose me in that, I guess, is part of it is the curiosity, also the love for the challenge. I really love challenges and solving, as Anat says, finding this problem that you really want to solve. That's something, just climbing that mountain that you really want to climb. It's not necessarily a problem, but it's a challenge you want to take. So I guess I can add that to that.
Thank you. So is there anything, any kind of experience, platform, direction, or anything that you can recommend to young people who are considering to be entrepreneurs, maybe not there yet? Anything that they can do to prepare themselves for such a future?
I think that for me, it was first to find a mentor. I always had a couple of mentors actually in every phase in my life. I now have 4 of them actually working with me that I can consult and talk to, but I started with one. It was actually when I was just starting Israel Women's Film Festival, and it helped me shape what I wanted to create. And so this was one thing I highly recommend. And the other thing that was very helpful was the meetups. So now they're online, it's even easier, just join the meetups that are revolving around what you're after and start talking to people and listen and network your way into what you want to create in the world.
Great, thank
you. I totally agree with Anat. If she hadn't said it, I would say it also, but I can add to the equation the matter of focus. I think that the world has a lot of problems, and every convention speaks about the different global problems and global things you can solve in terms of social impact. For me as an entrepreneur, it's very important, and my net of mentors keep me very focused to solve this one problem, to do it the best, and try to do it as focused as possible. So for me, it's focus, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if I was adding in at the end. So I would say, I think I guess it's, for me, it just looks like it's easier than ever before to become entrepreneur. There's so much, there's 2 reasons for that. One, there's so much information just out there online, where whatever social media you're going, or just go with Google, whatever interest you have in startups or in social startups specifically, there's tons of information everywhere, books, podcasts, videos, which wasn't that available just a few years ago. And this is one reason. And secondly, it's in a way become cool. Like being an entrepreneur is kind of the new cool thing to do, which wasn't like that just a few years ago. And maybe Anat can say even before that, when you would just looked as a wacko or something like that. So these 2 forces, that there's a lot of information for you to just read, learn, and that it's even very acceptable socially to be an entrepreneur and going on that path. It's just make it just so much easier than I think ever before.
You guys make it sound very easy. So,
no, it's not easy. It's not easy. I just think it's if anyone in the listening to us right now thinking, oh, should I go with that or not? I think if it's burning you, right? So just try it or go for it, and it will be socially accepted, which is a good thing, or makes it a bit easier. And it will also, there's a lot of information where you can find your new steps going forward.
So great. I think you all spoke about both inner qualities that people need to have or to adopt, but also a lot of kind of reaching out to outside resources, whether it's mentors or information that is out there that they can use. So that's wonderful. I would like, as we have a few more minutes until we have to close this up, and I will ask you to give your closing remarks, but I would like to ask it in one specific direction where I think Israel, one of the main qualities that Israeli entrepreneurs are known to have is that they're not afraid to fail. And in many other cultures, failing is something that people dread, and they might not be willing to make that first step or second step because the fear of failure. And, objectively, we all fail all the time. And if you're thinking about maybe kind of one last remark that you can tell people who are thinking about such a path, how can they maybe treat failure in a way that will not make them avoid these steps of becoming an impact entrepreneur? So this time we'll start with Idan.
Yes, I have a great tip for that. I think I have a great tip for that. Obviously, it's a lot of cultural things. So I guess anyone here in the panel won't be able to change the culture wherever you're listening to us from. So that won't be helpful. But I do have a nice tip that I think would be a good trick for any of you who's like looking how to deal with that. Don't call it a startup. Call it a side project. Just call it a side project. It's not a startup. You're not an entrepreneur. You're having this new little project that you don't even feel that it even succeed. It might succeed, but you're yourself thinking, well, it's just a project. It's not like it's my business or it's my startup. It's not a big thing. It's not. So then if it will succeed, hopefully, great. But if not, hey, see, it's not a big fail. It's not like, I've put all of myself into it and then I totally failed. So nothing really bad happened. Just minimize it with this side project to begin with, and then if it's really evolved, then you might really decide to, hey, you know what, if it's working and if it's succeeding, why not calling it my startup? That sounds good. That's will make it look good, so why not? So just start by calling it your small side project.
Great.
So I will go in the opposite direction. I would say celebrate your failures. I think from an entrepreneur point of view, it's important to have this ability to fail and to fail gracefully. For me, it's to fail as much as possible, as soon as possible, and as cheap as possible. I think it's one of the best things that the business can relate to. And also to celebrate and to acknowledge that this is part of the lily, and this is not going to go away, not after the first funding round, not under the A, B, C, D, and F. You always fail. And I think that this is part of what makes you a great entrepreneur and also makes you a great business owner.
I so agree with both of you, actually, both approaches. And just to summarize that, I would say that a failure to me, is almost like a summary of all the successes, because basically it's not that while you're, creating your startup and working on your everyday project, it's like everything is black and white. There's a lot of gray there. So you have a lot of success and you have some failures and you build one block on the other. And so this is how life is becoming. It's like your everyday life. You have some successes and you have some failures. Same thing with the startup. So you need to accept that and feel that it's almost like the fragility of life itself. Once you accept that, you can just, take the walk the walk. It's going to be okay.
Let's hope so. But yeah, I think I loved your answers because failure is an inseparable part of trying out anything that's new. And we just need to find, each of us, we need to find our own way of kind of embracing it and not being afraid of it. And with that, I would like to thank you all three very, very much, Idan, Roy, and Anat, for sharing your perspectives with us. And we invite all of you in the audience to join us in the impact revolution that our world is going through, and to use your skills and your talent to capture the amazing opportunities of using technology for good. So thank you all.